Torah portion, a weekly Torah portion. This week, Vayeitzei, speaking about Yaakov, Jacob, going out after taking the blessings, the firstborn blessings. He is now in Haran, gets married, has some children, and we're in the midst. The oldest is Reuben. Yesterday's teachings, Leah gives birth to four children. The maidservants also give to each, and we continue now. We're at chapter 30, verse 14. Vayelech, and he went, Reuven, the oldest son, the oldest boy, the oldest child, Reuven, the Yemei Ksir Chitim, in the days of the wheat harvest. Chitim is wheat, Ksir is harvest. The Yimtza Dudoyim, and he found Dudoyim, a flower of sorts, Basada, in the field. V'yovi, and he brought them, Oisam, them, Leah, to Leah, Imoy, his mother. V'toimer, Rachel, and Rachel said, Leah, she's got these Dudoyim, right, these flowers in her hand, and Rachel says to Leah, Rachel is the younger sister of Leah, Tni, give, no, Li, give it, please, to me, Midudoy Beneich, of the Dudoyim of your son. Rashi in 14. In the days of the wheat harvest. Why? What do we care when it was? Important point it was, we'll see, is about the Dudoyim, right? What's the point over here to know? Because this is a praise to the tribes, the sons of Jacob. It was a time of harvest. And they did not stick out their hand in theft. To bring wheat or barley, which are available during this season. But they took from something that was ownerless. That a person doesn't care.
I used to pick up these flowers on Mount Meron.
Oh, yeah?
They're beautiful flowers. They're purple and blue. To eat? Well, you're good, yeah. But they have other.
I know the fact that to tell us that it was at this time period, right, was that he took these flowers from ownerless land rather than to land that was owned by somebody, and they don't mind that you take.
It's wildflowers.
Right, but he still took it. Wildflowers, he could take it from someone's private property. They were so careful not to take something from someone's private property, and they took it only from ownerless property. Okay, now that's the point in saying this. Rashi continues to doim. Sigle, jasmine. That's what the flower is. Okay.
Can I take fruit too?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Esavu, it's a herb. The Lashon Yishmael, Yasmin. In the Arabic language, it's Yasmin. Look at that. Okay.
No.
Okay. 15. Tamer law. So now she responds to her. Leah responds to her. Hama'at kachtech. Is it little that you took? As Ishai, my husband, but the kafta gam, and now to also take as dudoi beni the yasmin of my son. And she's saying, like, you're asking a lot. You've already taken. Shkoyach.
It's not adjustment. I'm surprised.
Anyway, that's what it translates here. That's what Rashi says. So that's
Interesting.
okay.
Mhm.
So you took my husband, right? She married him first, and now you took my husband. Because and now you also want to take the doim b'ni, but the doim of my son. V'timer Rachel, and Rachel responded, Lachein. Therefore, Yishkav imach, lie with you halayla this evening tachas dudoi in the stead of the dudoi b'nei of your son. In other words, it was her night to be with her husband. You said, you give me that, you can have that night with him instead of me. Rashi 15. And you've taken even my son's dudaim. Bitmiya. This is astonishment. It's a question. It's a rhetorical question. And to do this too, that you should also take the dudaim of my son. Second Rashi. Therefore you shall lie with him tonight. It was for me this night. In other words, this was my designated night, if you will. And I'm giving it to you in the exchange of the dudoyim, the yasmin of your son.
Wow. It's so harsh. This is why she couldn't bear it with him. Oh, wait. This is Rachel?
This is Rachel saying, she's declaring that certainly Yaakov would choose to spend the night with you. Oh, well, let's learn as we learn. Let's not move forward. Okay, let's stay present. She had the right, I know the commentators bring, to do this. And so I'm giving you tachas dudoy b'neich in the exchange of the doim of your son. And since she belittled lying and spending the night with this righteous person, meaning her husband, she was not privileged to be buried with him. In other words, what did she belittle? In other words, these flowers were more valuable to her than being with her husband. Right? That's what in the fact is what she's saying. So therefore, lying, and the term is lying, right? Well, when do you ultimately lie? After 120. So since she belittled lying with him that evening, so the measure for measure, she would not lie with him in her when she would pass away, right? By the way, that's the cause. Like it's important. We're learning Chumash and Rashi, so that's all we're doing. But on a deeper level, she becomes the mother of the Jewish people because she is there for them when they go into exile. She is there for them, as opposed to the other mothers were not the same, didn't have the same motherhood as she does. So this is the outward reasoning for what happens. And it seems to be, very harsh judgment and so on. But in the end, it's really a gift for the Jewish people. And it's for herself. Huh?
She wanted the flowers.
Right, of course.
So why is it mezalzel in Yaakov? How is it?
Because being with him to be with a holy person is much greater than to having flowers. But she wanted the flowers instead.
She wanted the flowers.
That more than being with him? That's
the whole point.
So that's being mezalzel.
Help women to conceive. She wanted to have children.
Oh, 1 second. We're learning Chumash Rashi here.
I know, but
Okay, no, I know, but there's no but. We're learning Chumash Rashi. Rashi does not say that.
Then how is it Mezalzel if she wants to be with him? She wanted the flowers.
Where did you get that from? Where did you get that from?
Why did she
one
want
second. You're making something up right now.
No.
Be careful. No, you are. In the world of Rashi, you made something up. In the world of Rashi. I'm not talking about Medrash. We're not talking about Drush, right?
About the Midrash. Leah had the flowers.
The reality is to lie with him is much more holy thing than for her to have those flowers. Period. That's it. That's it.
She wanted the flowers.
Rashi doesn't say. So so then I don't know if that's relevant. Oh. Again, this is not.
I'm looking at Rashi.
Well, Rashi doesn't say it.
I don't understand how.
But Rashi doesn't say what you're saying. The zilzul is the essential fact of the matter is she was exchanging being with him for flowers.
No, not her. It was Leah who exchanged.
No, Leah is going to be with him. Rachel, it was Rachel's night. It was Rachel's night to be with him. She gave up the night in order that Leah would be with him. Right? That Leah was going to be. So she was being, Rachel was being mizalzel, was downplaying, made light.
So
I
understand. I thought it's the opposite.
No. They were the dudoim of Leah. Reuven brought it for Leah.
Right.
So it was hers. And she asked for it, Rachel.
And for that she gave up her
night, exactly.
Okay. All right.
I mean, this is a very mystical thing, right? Like what Chaim brought up, but Rashi's not dealing with them, unless it's the simple meaning, right? Rashi doesn't introduce it. Okay. Okay. 16. Yaakov and Yaakov came Minasada from the field, Ba'erev in the evening, right? He's coming from work in the field. Leah and Leah came out Likrosoi to greet him. And she said to him, Eli to me, Tovoi, you shall come. In other words, you're going to be with me this evening. Because I've hired you. Yeah. You know the story with the boy, the 10-year-old boy. He calls up his father. He was a big shot lawyer. He says, and he asks, how much. He asks, how much is Mr. So and so? How much does he cost an hour? Oh, it's $200 an hour. So that day when the father comes home, the son somehow got together. I don't know what, and he gave him $200. He says, "Here, father, I want to spend an hour with you." Right? The father was right. So here. Okay, Rashi in 16. Sachor sacharticha, I have surely hired you. Nasati l'Rachel schara, I gave Rachel her fee, right? She wanted, that's what it means, that the hire, right? She paid Rachel, it was her evening. B'laylahu, that night, Kodesh Baruch Hu Hashem assisted him. Vayeitzei misham Yisachar, that Yisachar should emerge from there.
It's interesting that he's saying in a male rather than
right,
because you have the obligation to have children, right? Is that why?
No.
Because it's the man's chiyuv to have children, so he's referring.
But that's not what he's saying here. He's just saying an assistance.
CO, that's male.
Right? Yeah.
That's for Yaakov.
Okay. Okay, we need more explanation on that. Let's go to 17. Yishmael Elohim, Hashem heard Leah to Leah v'tahar, and she conceived V'tela, and she gave birth Yaakov ben Chamishi, a fifth son. Rashi, Yishmael Elohim, Leah, and God heard. Shahaisa misava umachzeres laharbus shvatim. What did he hear? What did God hear? What was this whole thing that what did she want? She exerted herself, she desired and exerted herself to make the increase of the number of tribes, right? For another son, to have more tribes that would come from her. Okay, that's what she wanted. That was her desire. Rashi in 18, not Rashi, sorry, the verse in 18. The Tamer Leah, and Leah said, Nasan Elokim, God gave me, schari, my reward, asher nasati, that I gave, shivchasi, leishai, that I gave my maidservant to my husband, Vatikra Shmoi, Yisachar, and she called him Yisachar, from the word schar, meaning reward, or, reward.
Compensation.
Yeah, compensation, reward. And she conceived further, Leah, and she gave birth ben Shishi to a sixth son, Yaakov, to Yaakov. And she said, Leah, Zavadani Elokim Oi si. Hashem has endowed me, Zevetov, with a good endowment, Hapam, Yizbaleni Ishi. This time, my husband will be Izbaleni. He will be endowed to me, because I gave birth to him, Shisha Banim, 6 sons. Zvulun, and she called his name Zvulun. Rashi in 20. Zevet Toiv, a good endowment should be on Sukkot Targumai, Chelik Toiv, a good portion. Right? She got a good portion. Yizbaleni, that he will be, in other words, Yizbaleni, Zvul, the word Zvul, base Zvul, means the main home. And in Old French, it's Aubergière. Oh boy, that's very old French.
When you say Chelek Tov, it says there, that's what you have that in Rashi? Because we don't have that.
You don't have that? No, it just says Kitargumai. Okay. In the okay. Targum says Chelek Tov. Yeah. Right. It doesn't say that in the Hebrew, but that's what yes.
Okay.
So the main home, Beis Mother, a house of residence, Miata, from now on, Loiti Ikar Dirase Elimi, his main residence will only be with me, Shieshli Banim, because I have many sons, can I get the Kol Nasha, that are equal to the rest of the wives, right? There's 2 wives and two maidservants, right? The other 3 will have, in the end, 2 each, which will be 6, and she had 6. So she becomes the main residence, because she is the main, the mainstay of the household, being that she has 6 children. Leah. It's all Leah, yes. Va'achar yalda bas, and afterwards she gave birth to a daughter, V'tikra Shma Dina, and she called her Dina. Let's see Rashi. And 21, Dina. She called Dina Pishur. Rabbi Zainu, our sages explain why was she called Dina. Shidana, because the word Dina comes from the word din, which means judgment, a judgment. Shidana Leah din ba'atzma. Leah made a judgment about herself. What does that mean? She made a judgment. Im zezocher, if this is going to be a male, this child, my sister Rachel will not be one of the maidservants. She'll have 7, and Rachel will only have 1, because the maidservants already had 2 each. That means she's only going to have 1 child. She's not going to be an equal even to the maidservants, right? So she prayed, and it became a female. Right? So Rashi is explaining why she's called Dina. right? From the word din, judgment. Dina, right, is like the hay is feminine. So she made a judgment. Feminine made a judgment. So the judgment is that she made the judgment, and that the judgment is that it's feminine, that the fetus will be feminine. She prayed that it should be that way she will have 2 children. Okay. Continuing. 22. Vayiskar, and he remembered Elohim. God remembered his Rachel. He remembered her. Vayishma Aleha, and he heard. He listened to her. Elohim. Vayiftach his Rachma, and he opened up her womb. 23. The Tahar, and she conceived a Telid, and she gave birth, Ben, to a son, B'Taimer. And she said, Asaf Elohim es cher posi. God has brought,
Rashi 22.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, Rashi 22. Thank you. Let's go back. Yizkar Elohim is Rachel, and God remembered Rachel. Zocher lo. What did he remember? What God forgot that he remembered? What does it mean he remembered? So obviously it's referring to something that he remembered specific, and that's what Rashi picks up on, right? That what did he remember? When she gave over the signs over to her sister, if you remember, we learned that made Sarah that she was in distress. Shem, right? If you recall, what did Yaakov do? He worked 7 years for who? For who? No, for Rachel. For Rachel, but he got Leah instead, right? And the verse says that it was Rachel, and in the morning it was Leah. I mean, it was what? All right, what do you mean? All of a sudden, Behine, and behold, it was Leah. What do you mean? At nighttime it was Leah. What do you mean in the morning it was Leah? Because they made between each other. Yaakov knew what his future father-in-law is going to be like, right? He's a trickster, right? He's not going to be straight. So he gave over to Rachel certain signs that it would be an indicator of that it's her, right? Right? Certain signs. Rachel saw that Leah is being taken to the wedding canopy, and it's not her. So, and she did not want her sister to be ashamed and to be caught, in this. So she gave over to her all the signs so that Yaakov would think it's her. Because remember, by the chuppah, if you ever gone to a Chabad chuppah, you don't know who you're marrying. Under the chuppah, you don't know because you're covered in a veil. Not till here. The whole face is covered, right? The Shekhinah, the divine presence, is upon the bride, that it's too powerful. It's covered under the chuppah. Before that, you have to put down you veil the chassan, the groom veils her, right? So he knows that it's her. That's the custom, right? But then he didn't veil, right? So he got an unveiling that he didn't. It was in the morning that it was unveiled that it was Leah. At nighttime, it wasn't Leah, figuratively speaking, because Rachel gave over the signs that he thought it was Rachel, right?
You know what signs, right?
So let's see over here. Let's learn Rashi, right? So she gave over the signs to her sister because she was distressed. Because she was supposed to go, right? There were 2 children to Yitzchak, and Lavan had 2 daughters. So the older would get the older, and the younger would get the younger. Who's the older? Leah is the older, and Esav is the older. So she was distressed that she was going to end up in the portion of Esav, right? That's what she was worried. Yaakov, unless Yaakov divorced her, because she has no children. And Esav, the wicked one too. So did it rise in his heart. So did he think, when he heard that she had no children, who she Sadapayan, and this is the meaning of what the poet composed. 1 second. That the poet composed, Sha'admain kevat shaloi chola, that the red one, Esav, when he saw that she did not conceive, 1 second. That Yaakov didn't pray for her to conceive, desired to take her for himself and his Bala, and she was terrified. 1 second. Hold on. Right. So, what did he remember? She gave over the signs to her sister, right? She was afraid that she would end up, that Rachel would end up with Esav. Why?
Who's afraid now?
Rachel is afraid she's going to end up with Esav. Why? Because she's not going to have children, and therefore he's going to divorce her. Not going to have, right? There's such a halacha that for 10 years you don't have children, that there's, grounds for divorce. It used to be back in the day that you do divorce. Today, actually, it's not that way. It's not that way. Whatever. Let's not get into the halacha now, but she was afraid. I have to look more into this Rashi over here. I have to see the Rebbe's explanation. Right? No, and Esav saw also that Yaakov didn't pray for her. He had children. He didn't pray for her. She had to pray for herself, I guess. So this is what God is remembering. 2 things. She gave over the signs, saved her sister. She was in distress because now maybe she's not going to be kept as Yaakov's wife. God remembers all of this, and therefore opens up her womb.
He sees her distress.
Yeah. 23. So right, that she conceived and bore a son, and she said, God has brought in my disgrace. Asaf Elokim Escher Pasi. He brought it in. Rashi. Asaf in 23. Ichnisa, he brought it in, b'makom shaloi tireh, in a place where it will not be seen. Sometimes to gather in, sometimes gather, right here means gather in, that it should be discreet. We see a similar idea, bring in our disgraceful. Yesaf Abaisa, Nagham, Yerachef, Yasaf, Yasef, Yitami. Cherpasi, my disgrace. Shahisan l'cherpa, because I became a disgrace. Shani Yakara, because I'm barren. And people would say about me that I'm going to end up in the portion of Esav HaRasha, right? Because Yaakov is going to divorce me, and Esav is going to have eyes for me, and he's going to want to marry me, right? So God gathered in my disgrace that shouldn't happen. Okay?
Yes.
That's a simple meaning. Midrash Agada, the Agadic interpretation of the word disgrace over here, calls Banchain Elisha Ben, as long as a woman does not have a son, she has no one to hang upon the blame of her misdeeds. But now that she has a son, but she puts the blame upon him, right? In other words, the husband would ask, Mishi Barke Lizeh, who broke this vessel? Bincha, then she'll answer, your son. Who ate these figs? Bincha, your son. Right? Otherwise, she has who to blame. So, yeah, right. So God took away my disgrace because otherwise, if I don't have a son, who's to blame? If something happens in the house, the woman is to blame. She has no one to put it on.
Oh,
Okay.
Ezekiel, it's all because of you.
Who broke the bone?
Yeah, who ate the figs.
24. Vitikra, and she called Ishmael his name, Yosef. She called him Yosef. Lamor, to say, Yosef Hashem li ben Acher. That he added, God had added, God add Yosef, another son for me. Let's see Rashi in 24. Yosef li ben Acher, may Hashem add for me another son. Yudas Haisa ben Nevuah, she knew in prophetic vision. She'ein Yaakov asi lamid ela shnei masar shvatim. The Yaakov is destined to have only 12 sons for 12 tribes. Amra, so she said, Yi ratzon, may it be God's will. She'eisa shu asi lamid, that the Yosef was the 11th child to be born. So she's praying to God, may be the 12th child that is going to be destined to be born, that come from me, and me many, that would be from me. Ella al ben Acha. Therefore, she only asked for another son. Right? She didn't ask for. She should have asked for many children. Right? When you want a blessing from God, you're asking for many children, but she didn't. She only asked for another because she knew that there was only going to be 12 sons. That's what Rashi explains. Yeah, I got that. 25, verse 25. Vayeitzei, and it was Kasher Yolda, that when she gave birth, Rachel, as Yosef, Rachel gave birth to Yosef, Vayomer Yaakov, and Yaakov said, El Lavan to Lavan, Shalcheni, send me away. The Elchan, I will go, El Mekaimi, to my place, Ul Arzi, and to my land. I've done my job here, right? Rashi in 25. Kasher Yolda Rachel is Yosef. When Rachel gave birth to Yosef, oh, right, what does that mean? Kishanoilad sitnoi shel Esav. In other words, the nemesis of Esav was born, right? How do we know that Yosef is the nemesis of Esav? Shenemar, as it says, Bahoya Beisya. Right. Why is the verse saying that when Rachel gave birth, that's when he's asking? Because remember, what did he do? He left. Who did he leave?
Who's he? I'm sorry.
Yaakov. Talking about Yaakov.
Yeah.
Yaakov left. Vayeitzei Yaakov in Beersheba. He left Beersheba, right? And he came to Haran. He had now his 11th son, right? So it's time for him to leave. Why is that tied in with the birth of Yosef? That's what Rashi is picking up on, right? Why? Because he left his nemesis, right? His opponent, who is Esav, his brother. Who is the one that's going to be the one who's going to ultimately deal with him? Will be Yosef. That's what Rashi is picking up over here, right? Who's going to deal with him? How do we know that? Seemingly, Yaakov got the blessings because the blessings were meant for him, that he should be able to deal with Esav, right? That he's the one who's going to deal with him. But no, it's going to be Yaakov as it's embodied in Yosef, right? That's what, and Rashi, so how do we know? Shenema, as it says, V'haya beis Yaakov age, that the house of Jacob will be fire. Obeis Yosef lahava, and the house of Yosef is the flame, is the match, right? Yaakov is the fire, right? What does a fire do? It consumes. Who is going to consume Esav, right? Who's going to deal with Esav, the nemesis of holiness, of goodness, of the 12 tribes? So it's going to be Yosef. Why? Because he's the flame, right? He's right. And it doesn't have an effect over long distance. A flame, Yosef. But when Yosef was born, God, Yaakov trusted in God to protect him from Esav. In other words, he trusted that God, in other words, Esav is only going to fall in the hands of the descendants of Yosef. Okay? That's a prophetic vision over here. That will be, right? So when Yosef was born, now he was certain that he would be protected from Esav, and that Esav would really fall in his hands ultimately. Then now was the time to return. So now he could return. He could deal with Esav, because he has Yosef who will be there to protect him. Yosef, who ultimately in the future, won't be now, but in the future will be the flame that devours, right, the evil of Esav. Got it? Fascinating.
It's prophetic.
Yeah, exactly. 26. To not give is nashai, give me my wives, the es yaladai, and my children, asher avadati oischa, that I worked very hard with you, for you, by hand for them. The ilcha, right? He worked for everything, right? And I'll go. Ki ata yadaiti, because you know. Es avaidasi, my work, asher avadaticha, that I worked for you. Okay. Rashi in 26. Tana is nash. Give me my wives. In it says I don't wish to leave. Ki im b'reshus, except with permission. Right. In the end, we're going to see he escapes. Not now, but later on, he's going to escape. Right. Last verse for today. Lavan said to him, if I have pleased, I found favor in your eyes, right? I found favor in your eyes. Through my divination, and by divination, I see that God's going to bless me because of you. Let's see Rashi. In 27, Nechashti. I've learned through divination. Menacheshaya, he was a diviner. So he's now saying to Yaakov, I probed in my divination, I found that through you I got my blessings, right? And what's the blessing? The blessing of sons, grandsons, right? When you came here, I had no sons. He only had daughters, 2 daughters, right? He had no sons. But through you, I got the blessing of sons. Shenemar, as it says, because Rachel was the one who brought the flock. Is it possible he had sons? And he's sending the daughters to be amongst the shepherds. Right? The shepherds are not exactly, they're men. Those are shepherds. Why is he sending a woman? She's a beautiful woman on top of it to be a shepherd amongst all the other shepherds. It makes sense that you don't do that. Why did he do it? Because he didn't have sons. So he had no one to help him out, except for his daughter. So that's why he sent her. But now that I have sons, I've heard the words of Lavan's sons. In other words, now I got sons. In other words, I have more people that could work for me. That's really what he's saying. Really what he's saying. Yeah. Really what he is saying.
It's interesting that
Yes, go ahead.
it ties in. I find that the big price I've paid for the cave takes a great
Okay.
lot